I think this is definitely a problem in India. You've got people writing fake SOPs. In fact, people who can barely speak English, they're outsourcing this and they're getting other people to write an SOP on their behalf. And now you've got ChatGPT as well. It's very easy to just churn out an SOP and post it on your
Right, right.
application. You can see applications evolving, especially at the
Mhm.
masters and at the MBA level. There are things called video essays that are coming. There are things called on the spot essays that are now becoming a part of the application. Really important to make sure that your social media doesn't have anything that is questionable, whether they can kind of reject a visa, or even phones, anything on your phone, they might check your whole phone. In fact, this morning, a national student, they will vet you, they will look through your Instagram, they will look through any other social media that you have. So make sure you are, portraying yourself in the right light.
Hi, I am Sashwati Sarkar, and you're watching The Times of India. With visa clampdowns, misinformation crisis, and shifting global power dynamics in education, studying abroad has never been more complex or more exciting for that matter. Today, we'll explore how Indian students from CBSE or state boards can stand out globally, whether Canada's still worth betting on, and if Asia is the new frontier after Harvard's shock ban. Joining me for this conversation today is Namita Mehta, President and partner at The Red Pen, an expert who has helped thousands of students navigate the maze of international education. Welcome to the show, Namita. Namita, my first question would be, how can students from CBSE or state board backgrounds position themselves competitively against IB or IGCSE students in global admissions?
That's a great question. So, first, I just want to say that universities love students from Indian curricula, whether they're studying the CBSE or they're studying the state boards. Most of the time at these global universities, they're absolutely not at a disadvantage. A lot of universities understand the Indian curricula and really appreciate students that are coming from that background. Having said that, students that are in the CBSE and in the IB program, students in the CBSE or in the state board program generally tend to focus a lot on academics in the 11th and 12th standard. So, for them to be competitive with the other international board students, they need to be thinking about doing things outside of the classroom. So, what are they doing on their weekends? Maybe their summer breaks. They need to think about that as well. Again, with students in the international boards as well, they too need to be doing things outside the classroom to be competitive in in the global application process. Most international universities look at students in a holistic perspective. So that means they look at your grades, which is your data. They'll also look at your extracurricular activities, and they'll also look at letters of recommendation and other factors as well. So again, they'll also look at your test scores. So universities will also look at, say, your SET or ACT score, or an IELTS test or TOEFL test that you're doing. So in general, students that are in the CBSE or in the state boards are pretty much at the same level as if you're an international board student. You really do need to be thinking about what you're doing outside the classroom and ensure that you're using your time wisely to build that profile that you can then add as a narrative in your application.
Okay, Namita, I have one more additional question, a corollary to this. You say that international universities really appreciate students from Indian curricula. Is there any particular aspect of Indian curricula that international universities like?
I think the rigor of the Indian curriculum in the 11th and the 12th standard, you're very much focused on either the science stream or the commerce stream or the art stream, and universities really appreciate that because until the 10th standard, most students across the country in the state board or the CBSE, the national board, are pretty much studying everything. But students who are in the 12th standard, 11th and 12th standard, they really do focus the rigorous curriculum. And even some of the students that are appearing or looking at the entrance tests for Indian universities. So if you're looking at doing the JEE or the JEE mains or the CLAT for law or the NEET for medicine, the rigorous training that you get for the preparation of these exams is something that is often very appreciated by universities. In fact, some universities put that as a condition. So universities in the
Oh,
UK, for example, they'll even say that, okay, if you're looking at applying to Oxford for engineering and you're in the state board, we want you to have a particular rank in the JE examinations.
let's move on to the next question then. Given how STEM heavy UK and US are, which countries do you think Indian students look at if they want to study arts, humanities, and social science?
So, you know what? This is a little bit of a misconception. UK and US universities also have very strong arts and social sciences programs. So, again, within the US and the UK, within a particular university, you can definitely look at studying arts and humanities there as well. But of course, many students and families like to cast a wider net, and there's so many global opportunities, and it's not just limited to the US and the UK anymore. So you've got countries like the Netherlands, you've got France, you've got Germany, who are very renowned for their education in liberal arts. Additionally, education is a lot more affordable in these destinations. For example, in the US, the average tuition for undergraduate international students ranges between about £35,000 to about £85,000, whereas in the UK, it is between 11,000 and 30,000 pounds as well. So you can see that there's a significant difference. At public universities in Germany, this cost is much less as well. The undergraduate students typically pay around 150 euros to 300 euros rather than an annual tuition fee per semester. So it's a lot more affordable. Then if we're looking at the southern hemisphere, Australia and New Zealand are also great options. You've got the Australian National University and the University of Melbourne, University of Sydney, all offer strong arts and humanities programs. And in New Zealand, for example, Victoria University of Wellington is renowned for its creative writing programs, and the University of Otago is well recognized for its studies in peace and anthropology. So these are great options. Even within our own country, if we're looking at places, the New Age Indian liberal arts colleges like Plaksha, Kriya, OP Jindal, they have a blend of the US style core curriculum and research, which again is, they offer a lot of these liberal arts
Sure, in this
options.
interview, the focus is, study abroad. So we are not
Okay, fine.
focusing on Indian options.
Okay.
Sure.
Again, Singapore institutions. So, National University of Singapore, they feature an interdisciplinary College of Humanities and Science and a selective PPE, that's Politics, Philosophy, and Economics style arts track. Nanyang Technological University excels in communication and media, while Singapore Management University focuses on sciences and public policy, offering strong city center internships as well. A new emerging destination is Japan, and Japan offers several English law taught liberal programs as well. So, the University of Tokyo's PEAK program offers small classes and a mix of studies in humanities and social sciences. Waseda University and Sofia University both offer liberal arts programs entirely taught in English with instructors from all around the world. And then you've got students interested in the Japanese history, philosophy, or pop culture, often choose Kyoto University or Keio University for their strong courses in that area. Last but not least, the UAE is also a hub for international education with universities in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and Sharjah that offer strong arts and science programs as well. So, NYU Abu Dhabi provides a comprehensive liberal arts curriculum just like the NYU in New York. And then you've got the American University of Sharjah and American University in Dubai, and they follow the US standards of liberal arts education as well.
Wow, that was very, very informative and very helpful for our viewers who are aspiring to study liberal arts elsewhere in the world. Thank you. Well, moving on to our next topic, that is, ROI. As you know, Indian students and parents both are very, very ROI focused while it comes to studying abroad. Now, how do the US, UK, Canada, and Europe compare in terms of ROI, stayback options, and job placements for Indian MBA aspirants? Specific, this question is very specific towards Indian MBA aspirants.
Got it. So if you want the biggest paycheck quickly, then the US still comes out on top. Top MBA programs cost between 140 and $180,000, but the median salaries at the M7, which are the most prestigious and leading MBA programs, now exceeds $160,000. And many programs carry a STEM designation that allows students to stay on in the US and work for up to 3 years before needing an H-1B. So if you secure an H-1B visa, which is selected through a lottery system, the return of investment is very substantial. Now, in the UK, the leading one-year MBA program costs between 70 to about 150,000 pounds, with a starting pay at around 80 to 120,000 pounds if you graduate from the London Business School or Oxford Syed and Cambridge Judge. The 2-year graduate route gives you breathing room to switch to a skilled worker visa. However, the graduate route is under scrutiny and may allow students to only stay for up to 18 months. I mean, there was a white paper written on this, and let's see how that is executed. Now, looking at Canadian MBA programs, these are a lot more affordable, and the MBA programs generally cost around 90,000 Canadian dollars to about 100,000 Canadian, 130,000 Canadian dollars. Salaries range between 85,000 to 110,000 Canadian dollars, and you get a 3-year opportunity to stay, which then eventually leads to permanent residency. But again, in Canada, the job market is a lot smaller, and so you have to expect like a longer time, to find a job. Now, Europe's 10 to 16-month MBA programs at places like INSEAD, HEC, IE Spain, ESARE cost between 50 to 80,000 euros and can draw salaries around 90 to about 110,000 euros. So most countries issue 1 to 2 year visas for job seekers that aren't tied to any specific employer. However, local language skills are going to be very important if you're looking at getting a job after a European MBA.
Okay. So in terms of if we compare, if you and if you're asked to rank these, how would you rank them? UK, US, Canada, and Europe, in on a scale of 10.
So if you're looking at ROI, just purely ROI, I'd still put the US on the top, followed by,
For
say,
stayback options and job placements.
yes, for job placements and job availability and options, and even the salaries, I would put US
Mm.
at the top, probably followed by Europe, and then UK, and then Canada.
That makes the picture very, very clear. Good. So now, from SOP meals to fake bank statements, how big is the misinformation crisis in the study abroad space? And how do you help aspirants clean up that mess?
Look, Shaswati, I think this is definitely a problem in India. You've got people writing fake SOPs. In fact, people who can barely speak English, they're outsourcing this and they're getting other people to write an SOP on their behalf. And now you've got ChatGPT as well. It's very easy to just churn out an SOP and post it on your
Right, right.
application, right? And then, of course, when it comes to fake bank statements, a lot of universities are now, looking at local agencies to ensure that the bank statements are not false. There's a lot of checks in place, and that's only going to get more rigorous if you ask me. So if we talk about the applications, after the advent of ChatGPT, we can see applications evolving, especially at the
Mhm.
masters and at the MBA level. There are things called video essays that are coming. There are things called on the spot essays that are now becoming a part of the application. So applicants now have to log on and write an essay on the spot, which is then submitted, or they have to produce a video essay. So you cannot, I mean, of course, you can practice for a video essay, but you cannot make it up or get someone else to write it for you. When it comes to the bank statements being made up,
Yeah.
again, at the visa level, there's going to be a huge problem here. There's a lot of rigorous checks happening. So you need to ensure that you're providing the right documentation. Otherwise, all your paperwork is just going to go kind of out of the window and you're going to get a rejection. At the Red Pen, which is the company, the education consultancy that I own, we're very, very clear about SOPs being written by the student. We support, edit, and we really help them bring out their voice and their narrative and help them form their ideas, but the ideas certainly have to come from them. And in terms of visas, we have a very strong visa partner, VFS Global Education Services, who kind of work with all our students directly to ensure that all the documentation, including bank statements, are all genuine, and that the visa embassies will process them properly.
So, as you must be aware, that the US is suspending new student visa interviews, and also they're considering social media vetting through AI, right?
Correct.
Of Yeah. So, how should Indian students planning to apply in the fall 2025 adjust their timelines and digital presence in this current scenario?
So, to be perfectly honest, students that have already applied for fall 2025, the majority of them already have their visas because they get their admissions while they're in the 12th standard. They find out about April 1st of their 12th standard. So, many of them have already been issued I-20s and already gotten their visas. So, they're in the clear. But if we're looking at students that are applying for fall 26 or the ones that actually don't have their visas, it's really important to make sure that your social media doesn't have anything that is questionable. whether they can kind of reject a visa, or even phones, anything on your phone, they might check your whole phone. In fact, this morning I was just looking at a reel from one of the previous deans at the University of Pennsylvania, Wharton School of Business, and he was just saying that it's not just for international students, local students as well need to be very careful about this, because there's so many protests happening on campus, many anti-Semitism feelings on campus, and that they just want to make sure that this doesn't get out of hand. So again, as an international student, they will vet you, they will look through your Instagram, they will look through any other social media that you have. So make sure you are, portraying yourself in the right light, and that you don't have anything questionable on your phone. I would definitely recommend students to ensure that their phones and their social media accounts are clean.
So, how does one define what is right and what is wrong given the current volatility of the situation?
That's a great question, and I would rather be on the safer side and not have anything questionable. So I would definitely, if it was any of our students, I'd just say just do not leave anything to interpretation. If you wouldn't be
Right.
comfortable showing this to an admissions officer if they were sitting in front of you, just remove it. Right? Why do you want to come under scrutiny? Why do you even want questions to be asked? So you don't need to go parading your social life or parties or anything that's happening in school that is really questionable, putting it out there for the world to see, especially with the current circumstances. I'm sure things will die down and this might not be such a huge impact or a factor, but as of today I would literally just be like, unless you have pictures of your family or your pets or something very very basic, just remove the rest of it so that you're not under any scrutiny.
Do you think this Harvard Hong Kong situation can mark the start of a bigger eastward shift in global higher education? How should ambitious Indian students recalibrate their country choices based on this evolving reality?
That's a great question. So, again, there are so many opportunities in non traditional countries, and I think that families really need to educate themselves on this. Like the NEP that has started in India, there are so many international campuses coming to India. So, Harvard's new center in Hong Kong is a sign of a much bigger trend, like I just mentioned. Many leading universities are establishing branch campuses or joint degree programs in Asia because that's where research funding, industry partnerships, and student demand is really growing. Places like Hong Kong, Singapore, Seoul, and Dubai now host top 200 ranked programs, often costing less than the US and the UK. So, apart from Harvard's Hong Kong campus, consider Yale NUS in Singapore, NYU Abu Dhabi, the Duke Kunshan in China, or high ranking local institutions such as the National University of Singapore and University of Science and Technology in Hong Kong. Like I said, families are going to be looking at these very, very seriously. And foreign universities are looking to establish in India. I know, this is a study abroad, but again, you've got international education happening here. The first movers here are Australian's Beacon University and then the University of Wollongong, both of which are launching master's and bachelor's programs in business analytics, cybersecurity, and finance in Gujarat from mid 2025. There's several more in the pipeline.
So, with Canada's new student intake cap and changing work permit rules, should Indian students still bet on it or pivot elsewhere? What would be the best alternatives?
So I wouldn't write off Canada just because it has a student intake cap and tighter work permit rules. If you gain admission to a public university or college, secure the new provisional attestation letter early and meet the fund requirements, you can still get up to 3 years on the postgraduate work permit and a clear path to permanent residency. The cap mainly affects private career colleges, slowing processing, so you have to basically plan ahead. There are several universities in Canada that are offering fantastic programs and that might not necessarily be impacted as heavily with these visa caps. If you're looking at the University of Waterloo, University of Alberta, University of Toronto, they are a great opportunity for education. So, just ruling off Canada is probably not what I advise. And again, as I just want to reiterate that these political changes are momentary. Canada came in saying that they're pausing for 2 years, but things are going to probably change. We're already halfway down this 2 year path, when they realize that international students are very valuable. So just dismissing it completely is not something I would recommend.
Talking about alternatives like Ireland and Netherlands, uh, these are the two rising stars in the study abroad space. But are there are, but are they really worth the hype? Which courses, career paths, or profiles do they actually make sense for, and where do they fall short?
So, you know what? Ireland is the next hot destination that all of the counselors are talking about. Now, Ireland suits students who want to launch into the European tech, pharma, or finance sectors. Degrees
Yeah,
in
it is one of
software
the Silicon
engineering.
Valley of Europe, I guess. The Silicon Valley of Europe, I guess.
Certainly, it's upcoming for sure. So, degrees in like software engineering, data analytics, cybersecurity, and biopharma feed directly into graduate programs run by multinational employers such as Google, Apple, Pfizer, and even Stripe. After graduation, the third level graduate scheme grants you 1 year to work rights for bachelor's. It allows you 1 year to kind of sorry after graduation, the third level graduate scheme grants 1 year of opening work rights for bachelor's holders and 2 years for master's graduates, long enough to secure a critical skills permit. And five continuous years later, you can then apply for permanent residency. Again, let's move to Netherlands. Netherlands also a strong choice for students focusing on engineering, design, sustainability, and social sciences. Universities like TU Delft, Eindhoven University of Technology, Wageningen, Leiden, and Utrecht offer more than 2,000 English taught programs in areas ranging from AI and robotics to water management and even behavioral science. Graduates receive a 1 year orientation visa that allows them to look for work in any job. It doesn't have to be related to your major. And then if they obtain a highly skilled migrant contract within that period, the clock toward permanent residency also starts. So again, it sounds great and it sounds rosy, and oftentimes that might not be the case. In fact, there was some discussion in Netherlands to say that they wanted to curb the number of English language programs, but this hasn't happened yet. So until they exist, and if you continue kind of working and striving, there are opportunities for you in Europe, but you need to keep an eye on policy changes and what is happening on the ground to see whether you can really see your dream through of studying and then eventually working and living in that particular country.